Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Dropping My Daughter's Cake Out of Our Apartment Window? Why does the title have to piss me off? You dropped your daughter's cake out the apartment window. This better be an accident, but the way that it's written makes me think that it's not. Unless she did something real wrong. I'm male 45. I'm a single parent of 2 kids. My daughter 14, let's call her A, and my son 9, let's call him E. A and E have both struggled with a difficult childhood after the passing of my wife a few years ago. She was the light of my life, and she was an amazing mother to both of our kids. A was always very much a mama's girl. She still loves me, I know that, but especially since her mother has passed, we have had a bit of trouble communicating. I know she is also getting colder and growing into a phase where it's not as cool to talk to your parents, but recently it's been frustrating to me that we aren't able to connect as well. E and I still get along. I know that he's younger, but he still seems to think of me as the awesome dad that they both used to think that I was. Since A has been going through a rough time, she has started to struggle in school this year. She was always really stellar with her classes in the past, but lately she's been skipping homework and has been missing out on tons of assignments. I recently logged into the parent portal and saw all of the F's that A had been receiving on her missing work, and I was livid. I have to work during some of the day, so after school, A and E take the bus to our apartment building and are supposed to do their homework while I'm at work until they finish it. They're usually only alone for a few hours at most. I have a lovely neighbor, an older lady who I'll call Miss J, who makes sure they make it inside all right. I came home yesterday planning to have a conversation with A about her grades, only to find that she had spent the day trying to bake a cake after she got out of school. She has all these assignments and all of these horrible grades and is baking a cake. I understand that school is not always a priority for kids, but I was absolutely furious. I sat her down and tried to have a communication with her about the situation, but was met with the usual rude and cold teenager tone that I've recently been receiving. I told A to go to her room and work on assignments for the rest of the night. She told me that mom would have helped me make the cake instead of yelling at her, and that just broke me. I was seeing red, and I picked up her cake, opened our apartment window, and just dropped it. A broke down in tears and slammed her door shut. I felt justified at the time, but I now feel bad for doing it. Bringing up their mother is a sensitive topic for both of the kids and myself, and it just broke me. A is now grounded until she finishes all of her missing work, but I still need to know, do we think that I'm the asshole here? I appreciate any advice. This makes me want to Nick panic moonwalk, just like... This isn't going to help. Obviously, throwing a cake out a window is not going to help. And if anything, you're teaching your kid here that lashing out is a way to help and solve problems, right? Also, why did she bake a cake? Did you take the time to ask and be like, why? What is this for? Like, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for a special occasion? Did you just decide to do it? What is going on here? But as communication goes, this ain't it. Just flipping out and taking it and throwing it out the window ain't it. That's not going to solve any of the problems here. And I understand the importance that you're placing on grades. I understand the importance that you're placing on responsibility. And I understand as a sole parent here that you feel like you're the only one that has to teach them responsibility. You have to prepare them for the outside world, right? I get that. However, this ain't it. I don't feel like this was the lesson that you intended to teach here, being there as a sounding board for her, especially since she doesn't have a mother in her life anymore who probably was the emotional connection, right? But be there. I don't feel like you're going to be able to punish her, given the current state, into submission here. I don't feel like you're going to be lashing out and that's going to be effective at her getting her grades up. There's got to be some understanding and communication here that goes into what's really going on. What's happening? And how can I be a resource to help you navigate these troubling times instead of just being like, you know what? You did the wrong thing. Goosh. Also, you had an opportunity to eat some cake there, man, and you literally threw it out the window. What are you doing? Candy Thunder, I want to know here because when it comes to communicating with teenage girls, I'm not the bestest. I'm calling in some help here.
I think that sometimes that we forget that teenagers or kids, toddlers, whatever, have emotions just like we have emotions. We have bad days. We struggle in life. And I think thinking that kids don't have that problem is it's super shitty to think that your kids can't have things going on in their life that mean just as much as like the struggles that he's having. So if I feel bad for this girl because obviously she's going through something. Like if she didn't have bad grades before her mom passed away and this is a new thing, then figure out why she's having bad grades. Don't just punish her. Like if she does a 180 and something's changed, then figure out what changed or what she needs to do to help heal herself from losing her mom.
Solve the root issue instead of just punishing the behaviors.
Yeah. Don't put something that she put time and effort into and throw it out the window. Like, obviously, you just took whatever she was feeling, whatever emotion she put into baking that cake, and you threw it out a window. And that could be like a turning point where you lose somebody forever because you just told them that they don't matter. Like, why was she baking the cake? What did it mean to her to do that?
Right.
And she already brought up her mom, and you tossed it out the window.
And
yeah, she needs hugs. She needs love. She needs to know that even though her mom isn't here, like, the memory stays alive, and you can love her just as much, even though the mom's not here. It's kind of sad.
It is sad. And there's been a lot of comments in here about you're missing like the grieving part of this. Maybe this is part of the grieving process. Maybe this is something she used to do with her mom. Maybe there's something symbolic here, but rather than taking the time to communicate about it and be like, what's going on here? He just reacted. And yes,
Right.
I understand he's hurting too. I understand that.
Right.
But I think as a parent going through something difficult with your kids, you have to be able to separate at least at some point here and still be a parent, still be the parent that they need. And in this case, if you can't be that emotional component that helps them grieve, therapy is a really good idea. And I think if you were looking at this as to what is causing this, what are the core issues of this? And like you said, if there was a 180 in her behavior, if that
Right.
happened after she lost her mom, dude, what do you think is going on here?
I think that if he had actually like figured out what was going on, like why she baked the cake, and then like he could have had a breakthrough that could have improved her grades, because maybe that's what she needed. Maybe it's not about the schoolwork. Maybe that's just overwhelming her, and this was an outlet to something therapeutic.
Can you imagine, and I'm sure some people in chat went through this, but imagine being like a teenager going through all of the mess that is being a teenager, but also losing your mom and then trying to do schoolwork on top of that and stay on top of your shit.
No. And I think the thing that I'm trying to say is that, like, in the moment for teenagers, what's happening with them is just as hard as what's happening out. When we say, like, if you can't handle this, you can't handle the real world. But this is their real world. Like, this is everything that matters to them, all their emotions. They have all the emotions that we do. And I get overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed. Like, I get upset. I get pissed off. Like, like all of these things, like, we all feel that. And we try to say that kids shouldn't feel those things. And I think that's what he's not looking at the problems. He's just looking at the results and saying it shouldn't be like this, go fix it. But instead, look at what caused the problem.
Someone had said that it seems like he feels like her pain is an inconvenience to him. And
Yes.
he's hurting too, but
Exactly.
but she's allowed to hurt too, man. This could be a good thing. This could be something where if you really opened up and had the conversation with her, you guys could grieve together and do these kind of things together and actually heal from it. And instead, it's been turned into a big negative.
I haven't lost my mom, so I don't know what that's like. But I can imagine going through that time in my life without my mom, and
Relying on your dad to
suck. It would
Yeah.
suck. It would suck so bad. So I know that there were people who said that they lost their mom, and I'm so sorry, because I can only imagine how much that hurt.
Thank you for the assist, Katie Thunder. I needed it. This was not a reward thing. This was me needing help, and this is what happens at home too with teenage girl things. I'm like, I like go Kevin Hart on it. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I need help and some stuff like that. And I think this is a really good example of maybe what he's going through too, because he doesn't have his wife there to bounce this off of anymore. And yes, he's hurting, and this is clearly like something that he can't handle. So it becomes portrayed as an inconvenience to him. And somebody said in here, I don't think he's an asshole, but he made an asshole decision in that moment. This was an asshole decision. In this scenario, he chose to be an asshole, and that sucks. It's not an evil thing. She probably thinks it is, because everything's amplified for them anyway, but it was definitely not the right thing to do. And for that, I think we have to send him up to ASCON too. I understand it's difficult for everybody in that scenario right now, but as hard as it probably is in that moment, he has to prioritize the feelings of his kids above his own feelings. And I know that's easy to say and much, much more difficult to do, but I think as a parent, that's your responsibility in there. And it's also his responsibility to get them in some kind of therapy to help, especially because he's having trouble connecting and communicating and understanding. That's why it's even more important to get them some kind of outlet and get that started. That's rough. Also, you damaged a cake, bro. Why for?
Don't do it. Mission protect the cake, man.